I will say it's been a while since I've done one of these sorts of videos, albeit having the format a little bit different. I don't know whether it's down to lack of motivation or. Anyway, yeah, I'm just going to give a little impromptu opinion piece about Disney Plus's new Netflix show WandaVision, which we're 7 episodes in now. Please note that this may contain mild spoilers, but sure, look, I'll go ahead anyway, and I'll try to keep as spoiler free as possible. But anyway, where are we? Yeah, there we are, WandaVision, which, as the title suggests, is based around, well, the lovely couple, Wanda Maximoff and Vision, played by Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany respectively. And it's funny because from the events of the Avengers, Vision is dead. The Mind Stone was extracted from him for use in the Infinity Gauntlet, so we're just sort of looking at that saying, what's going on here? And the setting of it, particularly in the first episode, where, hold on, I'll pick the right one, there we go. They're set in a 1950s sitcom, so it's very much, honey, I'm home. Like, it's a nice little nod to that era of television, and it just, this sort of romantic comedy between the two of them, and it just seems like a standard show, like, oh, she has magic and he's a indestructible vibranium synthezoid, the odd couple. It sort of presents itself as that kind of show, but you find out very quickly that something is amiss, and there's little glitches in the show that sort of make you think, hang on, there's something's not quite right here. And the episodes progress. We go from the 50s to the 60s, to the 70s, where again you notice little strange things within this alternate universe, that this alternate reality in which Wanda and Vision are living their lives out in various sitcoms from different times, and it seems like somebody is trying to communicate with her. And for the first 3 episodes, it just seems very kind of self-contained, almost a little boring, a bit dull, to be honest, because you're kind of wondering, okay, like, is there any finer context to this? But by episode 4, things fall into place, and it starts getting really intriguing when you realise that this is set 3 weeks after the events of Avengers Endgame, after those affected by Thanos' snap come back to reality, and among those people is this woman here, Monica Rambeau, who is a high-ranking officer at SWORD. I had to laugh. I had to laugh. I'm not quite as well versed in the comic references, but you know, the previous organisation was SHIELD, and now we have SWORD, which look after the why am I blanking on the acronym? Sentient weapons. They look after surveillance of sentient weapons, which you know, obviously over the course of the Infinity Saga, it's become more and more of a threat. So anyway, Monica Rambeau was one of the people affected by the snap, and she comes back into existence only to realise that her mother died of cancer. Who is her mother, you might ask? Captain Marvel's best friend. And I'm just like, thank you for reminding me of that film. I thought this was behind us. But anyway, yeah, so Monica is slowly coming to terms with the new world, as it were, and you know, everyone is sort of being reacquainted by those lost to Thanos' snap, and she goes back to SWORD headquarters, and is informed of this anomaly in this strange town called Westview, which is the setting in which Wanda's sitcom takes place. That it's a missing persons case. People are disappearing, and people have no knowledge that they have gone missing, which kind of raises an eyebrow. So she goes out to the vicinity where she is acquainted by another sort of secondary character from the Marvel Universe, Agent Wu from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, I don't know, he's I like the character, but it's just he served very little purpose in Ant-Man. But anyway, so they meet up and they realise that there is a barrier outside of this town, Westview, and Monica gets sucked in within the barrier, which raises a lot of questions. So the specialists get involved, people, the sword experts, form a perimeter around the barrier in a hexagonal shape, which then gets colloquially known as the Hex, and they bring in a bunch of experts, including, I hope I picked the right one here, this familiar face from the Thor movies, Darcy, played by Kat Dennings, who in the Thor movies she was insufferable, but there was actually a bit of growth to her. I have to be fair that she's now become a doctor of astrophysics, so she's a bit of a bit of a science whiz now, and is taking readings of the barrier and realizes that embedded within the barrier is a broadcast frequency in which she harnesses the energy and is able to watch the respective sitcoms from within the barriers. And yeah, from there it's just a matter of Sword gathering more information. Monica, while in the town of Westview, no, wrong one, excuse me, she says something that offends Wanda. That's another thing. Everyone within the boundaries of Westview is under Wanda's spell, so they're playing characters effectively that how do I put it? Their bodily autonomy is taken from them. Vision is able to bypass this on certain people who are terrified for their lives, saying, oh, she has total control over me. And it transpires that Monica is one of these people who, within the sitcom narrative, she's a neighbour and a friend of Wanda's. Monica then says they have a conversation about Wanda's family, and Wanda brings up the fact that Quicksilver was killed, and Monica out of nowhere sort of says, oh, he was killed by Ultron, which makes Wanda suspicious, deems Monica an outsider, and feckin' yeets her out of the barrier. So from there it's just a matter of trying to infiltrate the barrier again and stop Wanda. Like, it's kind of become a bit diabolical here, and many more occurrences kind of raise eyebrows. Like, we had appearances of Vision, we had appearances of all these other secondary characters that super Marvel fanboys and fangirls are squealing about. And I hope this is the right one. Yeah, remember Quicksilver. Well, basically, yeah, Quicksilver makes an appearance in this, but it's weird because it's not Aaron Taylor-Johnson from Avengers Age of Ultron. It's Evan Peters from X-Men. And I'm just like, why? Like, the whole sort of IPs, contracts, and stuff like that, in terms of the conflicting ownerships of certain characters between Disney and Fox and stuff like that. Um, Disney have now technically reclaimed the properties that Fox have, as far as I know. But like, I don't know, either Aaron Taylor Johnson just wasn't consulted or asked to be part of the show, or it's just strange that they went with Evan Peters from X-Men, because and people even comment on this in the show. It's like, why do you look different? Like, us as the audience, like, having seen the different branches of Marvel Media, will know that, you know, this variation of Quicksilver is from X-Men. But I don't know. It's just funny seeing the characters going, "Hey, who are you?" I'm just like, well, you should have done a better job in the casting sheet. That's where I'm coming from. But yeah, Quicksilver joins the family. Uh, I should have said at some point that Wanda gives birth to twin boys, and as we go by the various different decades, paying homage to certain, obviously the sitcoms at that time, the 50s, 60s, very much homages to like I Love Lucy or other things like that. The 70s, the 80s, we sort of get to the 90s slash 2000s, which, obviously, given the time I was born, I was a bit more familiar with the nods, where I think the episode last week, there were clear references to Malcolm in the Middle. Um, and it just made me smile with kids breaking the fourth wall, Quicksilver being the irresponsible older brother, and things to that effect. And yes, the story progresses. Vision gets more and more suspicious, saying, this is not right. Like, I have to get out of here. And yeah, people are starting to wonder who is pulling the strings, because even Wanda is getting a bit worried, like, how is all this happening? Like, she's clearly under the influence. Well, not alcohol. I'll probably go get a few cans in a bit, because that's lockdown for you. But yeah, it's overall, it's a slow start, but it's a weird one. I did have to smile at some of the nods they were given to sitcoms from different decades. The most recent one, which is more sort of the 2000 to 2010 era, where it was very much a a nod to the sort of mockumentary style of The Office or Modern Family. And I'm not going to say any more on that, because there's a bit of a revelation that happens regarding one of the characters that may be pulling the strings. But again, overall, there's a slow start to it, but I'm enjoying it. I'm quite enjoying WandaVision. Like, it's a bit of well, I say fun departure, but from the sort of super amped up, action packed Marvel catalogue in the MCU. While this is technically part of the same universe, I do kind of enjoy the referential nods and humour to it, and I don't know. It took me a while to warm up to it, but it'll be interesting to see how it concludes. We're up to episode 7 now. There are 9 episodes, I believe, but yeah, things are falling into place, and you know, Monica Rambeau, where is she? Picked the right one this time. No, god damn it. um, she realizes that because she has gone through the perimeter of the hex, the barrier, so many times that it is affecting her molecular structure, and this gives rise to her developing superpowers. Because apparently in the comics, um, she, like, according to the lore, she is a character called Photon, which I will need to read up on. Uh, you know, come prepared, Michael. But anyway, yeah, this is. It's. Again, it's. The plot is developing, the plot is thickening, and we will continue to see how it can. Sorry, do that again. We'll continue to see how it concludes. So, yeah, I don't think it's fair to give like a ranking, given that the series hasn't concluded. But I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10 so far. I'm quite enjoying it, and yeah, I'll wait to have my mind blown by the series finale. But yeah, those are just my 2 cents. And yeah, thank you for watching. I don't know if I'll continue to use this format. It certainly saves a lot of time. Otherwise, it'd be editing the videos, and particularly with my Banjaxed camera. But yeah, if you want to leave some feedback, be sure to like and comment, and if you want, maybe subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. But till next time, I'll see you. Till the next video. Take care.